I'll call this December meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Supervisor Hewitt,
Here.
trustee Robinson,
Here.
trustee Page,
Here.
assessor Turbidge,
Here.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
And just want to double check that trustee Geist, if she's online.
She's not. Okay, then we'll do a pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Yosh had given me a video to do as a presentation for an update with the mental health board. And oh, sorry, I accidentally was going too fast. So public comment, anybody sign up for this public comment and all this?
I'll make some.
Get this.
Happy birthday.
Good for I had two already.
John?
This boardroom has hosted a lot of birthdays so
Yeah.
far this year.
I know. Is that either a good thing or sad?
I don't know.
I think it's a sad. Exactly.
None for me, thank you.
You sure?
Yeah, probably, thank
I
you.
would not say.
It's very rude not to take the
Exactly.
birthday.
I'm not a sweets person.
No?
It has to be. Yeah. Sure. Well, it's stuffing and gravy.
Not for lawyers. We don't give them.
And there's
Thank
one
you so much.
board comment.
Okay.
No, thank you, thank you.
Okay,
I like
this is for you to read. I shouldn't be reading.
That I changed my mind.
Yes. It's good.
It's not-
changed your
In the
mind?
board- in the board packet, it says,
Thank you, thank you.
we're not.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we have one online, we have one online public comment. It is from Claire Goldenberg. It is clear that the current board is clueless about how grants and budgets at the government level work. Based on the last meeting, trustee Page's vociferous comments about giving the grant money back to others so that they could use it, and trustee McGovern's comments about switching what we use the grant money for, and trustee Geist's comments on the same vein, while all of which are not allowed under the rules about how the grants we receive are set up. Plus the fact that they do not believe that what the supervisor tells them, they waste valuable time at the meetings. The constant over talking made understanding this particular agenda item challenging to follow. What happened to raising your hand to be recognized? When Kelly speaks, would you please speak more loudly and slowly so that it would be better recorded for YouTube? Her reports are extremely germane to the community. Trustee Geist does not get to lecture the supervisor in public. It's bad form. Talk about taking responsibility. Let's start with lying to the public about budgeting and stating that nothing will change if they fire the operations manager and senior services manager. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. From the last meeting, it was uncovered that this dismissal of the operation manager was clearly not handled properly, taking some responsibility. He never would have been let go had you not insisted on the snafu with the benefits would not have occurred, and had you not insisted, you had to reduce the multi-million-dollar budget by less than 200,000. Side comments about the board members made under their breath are unprofessional and unproductive. Why can't anyone let the supervisor finish answering a question that is posed to her? If they did, possibly more business could be accomplished during the meetings instead of unproductive one-upmanship. And that's the only public comment. So the next piece, so it would, I didn't see anybody signed up at the board that is when you sign in. So that's a part of the rules that you have to sign up for the public comment.
Unless someone made a motion to change it.
Well, it's not a regular count, maybe it's gonna be handwritten there.
Says comments, and then it's also in the approved board rules from,
Yes, but is the rule posted over there clearly for the public to see?
it's actually on the website in
We can
three
make a
different
motion.
places.
I'll make
But
a
if you
motion
wish
to
to.
allow public comment for anybody who didn't No, to sign up and specifically say public comment.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, and a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Abstain. Okay, then it carries.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'm Audrey. I'm Audrey, I'm on the agenda, and I just wanted to say that I love being on the 708 board. I did make a contact in August via text, which I have on my phone. And then the other two subsequent ones were also panic attacks that I had that were directly impacted by the board. So my mental health was directly impacted all 3 times that I missed, and the only 3 times that I missed on this board. Really love to finish out my time on the board, because I am passionate about supporting and bringing mental health awareness and support to our local community, because it is huge. And I did have to fight a panic attack for the 4th one because I knew that that wasn't okay. And so I now know what's going on with me and I know what's happening, and so I'm able to put the right measures in place so it doesn't again. So it's the only thing. And it's technically only 3 without notification, and I did make the notification via text and August.
Thank you.
Okay, and trustee Geis did come on Zoom. Does somebody want to make a motion to allow her to continue?
Yeah, I'll make a
Consent.
motion for trustee guys to participate via Zoom.
I'll second.
And any discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, then we go to the update from the 708 board, and Yosh had asked me to play this video, and I'm just gonna make sure that it's able to be seen.
Has work been really busy for you for Christmas shopping?
Not really. We're actually not doing very well, company wise.
Yeah.
So I'm Yo Shamanaka, reporting on behalf of the Lisle Township Community Mental Health Board. So that short video you saw is a work in progress. We've interviewed those three agencies. We're going to interview a fourth agency, which would be the YWCA, and that will happen this Friday. So we will have a new iteration after that interview takes place on Friday. One thing I'm very proud of is that I have to believe that we are the very first mental health board in the state of Illinois to fund a program which will build and or strengthen the behavioral health workforce. That legislation was just enacted 3 or 4 months ago, and we were actually ahead of the curve because we have been working on that. Because that's clearly a need in this area. Currently, all students in behavioral health master's program are required to complete 750 hours of internship. And those internships are almost universally unpaid. Benedictine University has proposed a program which will pay stipends to 4 highly motivated behavioral health interns. Here are the factors that Benedictine and our mental health board will consider when selecting qualified interns. The candidate should preferably be a Lisle Township resident, have a graduate program GPA of at least 3.2, be a first-generation college student, and or represent a marginalized or underserved population, and finally, demonstrate a commitment to working in Lisle Township for a period of at least 2.5 years following completion of their program. Finally, when the contracts with the 5 supplemental grant applicants are approved, which we hope to happen on January the 22nd, we will have committed to providing $850,500 in grants. As we have received nearly $1 million in tax levy and will have spent only $150,000 in administrative costs over a 2.5-year period, this will mean that our overhead will be less than 7% per year. Thank you, and I'll take your questions.
Trustee Robinson?
Mr. Yamanaka, I've reached out to you yesterday and today to try to resolve, I called your cell phone number, correct?
Gee, I don't know.
Do you check cell phone? Do you check text messages?
Occasionally, yes.
So I'm very concerned. I've tried to bring myself up to speed on the issues related to Audrey Burris and the Mental Health Board. She showed me there's a text she sent to you and to Stephen on your board on August 28th on the date of the meeting that said she will not be able to attend the meeting, which to me indicates notification.
I don't remember.
You don't remember receiving that, it's fine, okay.
So that's agenda item number 7.
No, it's not. It's now. I'm responding to Mr. Yemenak.
Thank
Thank you. The other part is technically, there was not a September meeting because there was not quorum.
It was a call, in fact, we could not achieve a quorum
Right.
because too many members were
Right,
missing.
and you've singled out Audrey
Like-
Burrows, sorry, you've singled out Audrey Burrows particularly for your concern. So Audrey was not there, you were not there.
I was
Stephen
on
Davis,
vacation and.
I'm sorry, please let me finish. Stephen Davis was not there, Joanne Wright was not there, and Renee Kosiarek was not there, correct? So as chairman, isn't your responsibility to make sure that there's gonna be quorum and there's a meeting that's gonna be held? Did you reach out to people, say, by the way, I'm not gonna be here? Are you gonna be there? And
Yes,
you
I-
had
yes.
confirmation that there's gonna be quorum?
You want me to answer now or later?
No, it's fine.
Okay, so I announced to the mental health board, probably back in January of the year, letting the board know that I will be on vacation in September. The board members had at least 6 months' notice, knowing that I would be on vacation in September. And I handed the reins over to our vice chair.
Who is,
I was on vacation.
I'm sorry,
in
who's the
September.
vice chair?
Me. Christine Cross.
Okay, thanks, Christine. And you're at the meeting, I see that. I'm concerned with the board. There were 8 members on the board when it started in 2003. 3 of them resigned within the first 8 months, right? I'm concerned with the operation of the board. We know why Donna Previshaw left the board, but I'm not sure about why the others left the board. You've also got numerous board members who have missed meetings this year. Joanne Wright's missed 3 meetings plus 2 that she zoomed into. You've got a number who have also missed 3 meetings this year. So if they miss a 4th meeting, will you come to this board and ask to remove them from the board as well?
Yes.
Do you track when you get notification that someone is going to be said, hey, by the way, I'm not going to get to this board meeting?
No, I can't say that I tracked them, no.
Okay, so it's possible that Audrey Burris did give you notification that she was going to be at that meeting.
If you read bylaws, the bylaws specify that if you have missed 3 consecutive board meetings.
Without prior
with-
notification.
No, with or without notice. And that's,
The text that was sent to me from the supervisor said without prior notification.
you have to review the bylaws, but my understanding was first that prior notice is not required, and secondly, I never received that notice.
I checked with Stephen. It was texted to both you and Stephen. Stephen did receive the text, so we've got to assume that we have to confirm that she did send it, whether you received it or not, is frankly on you. So you don't track notifications, yet you singled out Audrey Burrows. Is it personal?
No, but she, her absence on at the September regular meeting caused the whole meeting to collapse.
I understand, but there were 5 people that didn't show up to that meeting.
And I was one of them,
I
and I was on
understand.
vacation. And I
Well,
was.
you're embarrassed because there wasn't quorum.
Well, I can't, when I'm, 5,000 miles away from Lisle Township, I cannot control, who's gonna appear and who's not.
Wow, okay, that's okay. That's how you want to run your board. I've also heard board members aren't sure their terms, like when their terms start and end. Do you have a good record of who starts
I
and when?
certainly do.
Okay,
I certainly do. And the problem was caused by our first attorney who, when we had 2 vacants on the board, instead of, actually, I guess we had requested the appointment of an 8th and a 9th board member. Those board members should have been assigned a 2-year term and a 3-year term. But instead, they were both brought in with 4-year terms, which creates a very lopsided situation in which currently we have 5 board members whose terms will expire in January of 2026.
okay. Are you making steps to resolve that, or is that a situation that you have to deal with?
It's a situation that we will have to deal. I tried to deal with it 6 months ago. I proposed to the 2 people who were incorrectly brought in with 4-year terms that we amicably did, draw straws and decide who gets a 2-year term and who gets a 3-year term. But there was an objection. And so,
So Audrey was one of those people brought in a 4-year term. So
yes,
this is a way to make sure she doesn't fulfill her first full 4-year term.
why, if you want to characterize that, that's your opinion.
Okay.
And
Okay,
I found in the bylaws where it says with or without notification, the notification,
that's the
about
4.
10.
What about the 3?
so it's the 3 consecutive.
Consecutive without prior notification. So you were provided with notification. So
I am, again, I was not aware.
I think you ought to reverse an apology. You put her in a very awkward situation. You brought her into a public meeting. You've called her out publicly in this meeting. And my understanding is the mental health board meeting was very uncomfortable for her and for the other board members. I'm really not sure that I'm concerned with your leadership of the mental health. I'm one voice. I can't, I just want to voice my concern. I think the board could use some board training. I think you have some issues to heal with the board, but that's my opinion. Are you comfortable providing, so acknowledging that if you may or may not have received notification from Audrey Burrows, are you comfortable in making an apology, saying, I am sorry that I put you through all this?
I'm sure, if I incorrectly missed her, then I'm sorry that she has to let it go on this. But the bylaws, I think call,
No, it was pretty clear.
The bylaws are right here.
You, and the supervisor had it up 3 in a row without prior notification.
so I was under the impression, perhaps incorrectly, that there was no notice. I know for sure in September, several phone calls were made to her, trying to reach her, to bring her, ask her if she would appear. And certainly I had no notice in October.
Yeah, I
The
understand that.
third absence.
I understand that. Okay, thank you. I'd make a motion that we remove item 7 from the agenda.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? And a roll call vote.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Abstain. Okay, the motion passes. Then, there's, the next one is appointment of Christine Carlson and Mike McCree this was 4-year terms on the Township 708 board.
I make a motion to table. It's not consistent. You've got 2-year wording up in the text and you've got 4-year term in the motion.
I
This
agree.
was wrong.
I know it's wrong.
It was on, I didn't print this, there was. You look in the agenda,
This is the agenda. I pulled it.
All we have is what is in front of us.
Well, there's a motion.
And a second.
okay, this was a change at the last minute and I changed it, but I didn't change it.
There's a motion and a second.
And also
So,
there's discussion, so.
and there is discussion, so it was a Scrivener's error, so if you wish to table this till next month, that can be done. Okay, so. A roll call vote, please.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
No. Motion passes. I apologize for that change and it didn't go through. I got it at the last minute. I apologize. So we'll see you next month. And that goes to you too, Mike. Okay, then
Actually, I'd like to make a motion if I could, please.
trustee Page.
I'd like to move item number 22, discussion and possible action about the change order for sickage to include Lisle Township 708 mental health board from position 22 to number 8.
second.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? And roll call vote?
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, and the last financial committee meeting, we hadn't heard yet, and I said at the meeting that there were two things that we're still waiting to hear from. One was Sickich needing to change and amend our what we were going to have to be doing, because when they had first signed on with us in 2022 to do our 22-23 audit, we didn't have a 708 mental health board that was collecting any funds or doing anything, so it wasn't going to add any other work in 22-23. After further reviewing it, they believe it does add more work to the audit to Lisle Township. And in that being the case, as well as having the 708 board ask for an audit, and asked to have theirs piggybacked on ours, then Sikish gave us this quote. So that's where this comes from. And the mental health board is 100% going to cover that cost of the $1,200. That's correct, Yosh.
That is correct.
So that's where that is. Any other discussion? Trustee Robinson?
so just to confirm, is this because we financed their operation for a number of months? Is it because of those extra transactions that are in the township budget? Or is this because they operated as a separate entity?
Because it's going to be more work for the sickage, and because essentially it's a both and
It's a separate
situation.
audit.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. What
It's a
was?
separate audit, is it not?
They're actually doing that as part of what,
They're gonna issue a separate report,
indeed,
and then it's a separate audit.
Indeed.
Separate thing.
so, but it's also a lot of, I mean, it was also because they were borrowing funds from us, and there's more oversight that they feel needs to be done. And I see John DeCanto, who's the treasurer of the 708 board, raising his hand. John?
Thank you. Yes, my understanding is that, yes, we did borrow funds from Lisle Township for our first year operating expenses while we did not have levy funds. And so there were multiple transactions that took place by Lisle Township accountants to, cut checks and pay expenses on our behalf, on our 708 board's behalf. So the 708 board is more than happy to help with the auditing procedure, the auditing process of that $31-ish thousand that we borrowed from Lisle Township.
Trustee Robinson?
I'm sorry, I'm still not sure. Sickich gave a proposal to us to say there will be a separate audit for the 708 mental health board, which will cost $1,200 if it is done in conjunction with the Lisle Township audit.
Yes, that's the change order.
Where is that?
It's right in the packet.
In front of us. We have those words in front of us, not just out of your mouth.
It's been in the packet for the last 5 days. And let me look for that. Yes, it's printed up in the.
Does it say how much it would be
Yes,
without? Well, they said that, but I don't know.
But Barry, I think you're right, it doesn't say it's a separate audit.
Right, that's what I'm trying to understand.
It doesn't say it, it doesn't say separate books in the issue. Josh, is that your understanding, a separate report would be issued?
I think so, yes, but actually, I was not at the meeting, and John was at the meeting, so I don't know.
Is John still online?
yes,
No?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
Dan?
what's your question?
Is it your understanding that a separate audit report would be issued on the 708 fund?
In the meeting, Sikich had to consult with their staff and get back to us as to how they wanted to proceed. So whatever conclusion came about after the meeting, I'm not pertinent to.
So this is what they sent us, and our fees for services will not exceed 22,700 for the township audit and 700 for the comptroller's financial report. It was implied that there was going to be then that it would be a separate audit for them, and this is the increase in fees.
I don't know to read the 784 high and drive, I don't see it.
For
I'm not tracking.
college. So this is the description of the change. This is what has been in there since the 6th.
So the question
Total.
still is the same that I had. Do we know what the cost would be if it's not a change order onto our audit? Like if they were to get their own, if they decided to get their own audit? We
They-
only know that it'll be $1,200 and, with ours.
They previously got estimates, and one estimate from Lauterbach and Amin was 14,000 for a standalone audit. And Sikich hasn't told us at the same time that it would be any less, now knowing now the work that is involved with doing this year's audit with the unexpected amount of difference in work that they did not know was going to happen, because we now have a 708 board compared to 22, 23. Whereas, so that's a new entity from the last time we did the audit.
And it was at the last meeting that it was said quite a few times that they did not feel sure that for the amount of money that went through the mental health board, that an audit would even be necessary.
Correct, and we didn't have a variety of pieces of information, so it was premature to have a discussion without having the information that we had.
The problem here is we don't have the options. It's either we add them on for $1,200, right, for the change order, or you don't, and then we don't know what that means to the 708 board financially.
They won't have the audit that they're looking to get, is what it means. There is a $14,000 alternative.
But that, we don't have that in writing, Supervisor.
Doesn't it
So-
require it to get an audit?
Yosh, do you have the,
I-
can you confirm that there was a estimate given to your board for 14,000?
Yes, it was in excess of 14,000. And I do have that in writing, probably in an email somewhere that 3 months ago.
Would there be a harm in tabling this?
So the Sikich is looking to go into, we've been fully in field work for our 22, so for our 23, 24 year, we're going into, we've been in this audit for 2 months at this point. So the harm is that we're concluding our audit. Likely, they said that we would likely be done by February, which would delay our, if this is delayed, it's likely to be a moot point because our audit is concluding. There's coming to a conclusion. Trustee Robinson,
So my understanding is you had a call with Sikich on the 2nd. Finance committee met on the 4th. On the 4th, it wasn't a requirement that they have a separate audit based on what we talked about. And between the 4th and the 6th, you got subsequent confirmation from Sikich that there is a requirement for this.
Sikich said that they're, again, that they believe that the work is going to be different than what they originally had quoted us, because in the original, meaning last year's audit, we didn't have anything to audit for the 708 board. This year we do. So there was a difference in work that they had estimated. They literally gave us the same numbers because they believed that it was going to be the same amount of work, basically.
That makes no sense.
Uh-uh.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, so if you got grants for $200,000, which is more money than you dealt with the 708, they're gonna charge you more money?
It's a different entity that's all of a sudden been born into the township's life, and that added more work. And it's not that it's a grant situation, it's that this entity would like some extra oversight. They're willing to pay for it, so there's no cost coming out of this Lisle Township budget in any way, shape, or form, because it is going to be paid back immediately by the 708 board. Is that correct?
Yes, so
They want an audit. If they want an audit, that means they get a report. Are they going to get a report? Are they gonna get an auditor's opinion?
I believe that this says that they're going to get a report.
Here's the thing.
Where does it say that?
And we do need. to
Audit
work
of the
some-
financials, I mean, this seems pretty clear that they're going to give a report. If you want, we can make sure that they, put that in writing, that they'll have a 708 report for them. But that seemed clear. It seemed clear to me. I didn't hear any questions prior to now, and this has been in the packet. I could have gotten, if it had been, if anybody had asked any questions, we could have reached out and got some answers. We didn't have that question asked.
We've been asking plenty of times.
Nobody has asked either myself, or I haven't heard anything from John about this.
So you're saying that the auditors will do the same work, whether it's $1,200 that we pay, or they'll reimburse, or if they do it on their own, they're gonna get the same work done, but it's gonna be $14,000 if they order it. But if it's a change order to ours, that'll be $1,200.
I'm
Because
not-
if they're getting a report one way or the other, that doesn't, I can't visualize it.
Yosh,
and so I do have a written estimate here. And I misspoke, it's an escalating 12,500 up to 13,700 or something like that over the course of the years. And that's a different entity, different CPA firm. It is not Sickich.
Okay,
I went to Kelly first, and I guess I was asking the wrong person, because Kelly did not produce the township audit. And therefore, she said, well, if you want us to audit you, it's gonna cost, $1,500.
okay, so we do not know how much Sickich would charge you individually,
That is correct.
okay. We need some autonomy, you know what I mean, with things.
and it's common for other 708 boards and other townships to work together on their audit. And so this is not a situation where it's abnormal or unusual. The whole reason why that this came to us was because other townships are doing this together. And for example, Milton Township does this together in particular, and recommended to Mr. Yamanaka that this be done. Highway Commissioner Young.
I guess. Assessor Trowbridge brought it up in this description of the change. It says a blended component towards the end, blended component of Lisle Township. Does that mean you're gonna be folded into the financial statements of the township? And if it does, I don't think that's gonna suit the notion. He wants separate financial statements for the 708. Why?
But in this particular instance, what was,
Speaking for 708?
no, of course not. I'm just simply saying that during the time of this financial year, it was all alone. There wasn't, they didn't have any of their own monies. And I'm simply saying that what we were doing from our side was we were granting a loan. We're not normally lenders. Mr. Yamanaka, do you want to add anything?
So ultimately, we would like to audit in terms of transparency, sure. The law does not require us to audit ourselves, but I'm sure you and the residents of Lisle Township would like to make sure that we're on the up and up. And one way of doing that is through an audit. And this is the most cost-effective way of getting that audit for our 708.
But I think my question is whether it's an audit of your board and your expenditures, or it's what we did. We gave you the money, you spent it. Right? So are they gonna audit what we did? Not what you did.
I think they're inextricably linked.
I don't know.
We give you vouchers. We say, we sent, X number of dollars. Please send a check to the attorney in the amount of X number of dollars.
Right.
So it's on your records and we've got vouchers substantiating.
So it sounds like,
Trustee Robinson,
sounds like an additional expense to track the expenses that we've forwarded to them in their first year of operation. That's what I'm hearing? Yep.
It's certainly unclear. Right? And for $1,200, I mean, if we don't get anything additional, it's just. What do we get? I don't think he's gonna, if he doesn't get an audited set of financials. Then the $1,200 is just wasted money. My opinion.
But Sickich, for some reason, feels this has to be done.
I mean, what they,
Okay, you're right. And that's- I'm not feeling I fully understand. But I am respectful of what the supervisor said, that they're on site. If they've got to pack up their books and come back, it's gonna cost somebody an awful lot more money. So for $1,200, in the interest of a partnership, which I indicated at the meeting last week, I would be more than happy that we would a lot better align a lot more effectively. I make a motion that we do approve this $1,200 in this agreement.
is there a second?
I'm deeply uncomfortable with the relationship between the supervisor of this board and the chair of the 708 board. It was never supposed to be what it appears to be in front of us right now, but it is what it is.
And now we're kind of doing.
Is there a
an
second?
audit
So
together.
we're trying to get a second and is there one?
Oh, I didn't know that was that, sorry.
Going along with what Trustee Robinson said, I'm willing to do this because a year from now, you won't be here. Your board will have its own audits, separate. It builds a little bit of trust, which we desperately need to rebuild between our two boards. I hope you understand that. I'll second the motion.
Any other discussion? And a roll call vote.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Motion passes. Next is the accountant's report. Trustee Robinson.
Yeah, I have no comment. I mean, we talked at a high level when we met with the finance committee last week. We'll be doing a budget mid-November, mid-January. This will be input to it. We're going to talk about some of the expenses that we're going to be capital expense investments we're going to make in the facilities. later in the meeting, so I have no comments relative. to-
Thank you.
Okay, next is discussion and action to pay the Gator Chef invoice for Reach In Freezer for $8,206.99.
I'll make a motion to pay this invoice. We went through audits. We approved it. Everything is fine. We've come to the agreement. Returning this freezer would have cost nearly 50%. So we're going to go ahead and accept this and pay the bill.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? And a roll call vote.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. So does anybody want to make a motion to go to the audit of the expenditures?
I'll make a motion to go to the audit. I'm sorry. I will make a motion to conduct the audit and bills and claims.
I'll second.
Any discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes,
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes.
Are you waiting for us or are you running the meeting?
So I can't make a motion.
Okay.
So that's how things go
Item number
in
11.
agendas and supervisors meetings.
I'll make a motion to enter.
We just did that.
Just did that.
I will make a motion to approve the township and road district bills and claims as presented.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Just, if we have our list, Clerk Hollowitz, tell me when you're ready, we'll go down it real quick. Everything should be
Is it all? do
pretty
we-
set. Yeah, I was speaking with John a little earlier today. I think we should be.
But,
Well, we'll-
once you check that it's. If you want to go through it.
Just
that's
real
fine.
quick, it's
Sure.
super quick. It's 51, 51643 and 44, both of those were voided, right?
Mhm.
And okay, so John's nodding, so we're good with that. 51647, signature required. You know what I didn't do was write down who's.
The
Was making my
signatures,
notes.
Once you have it, yeah.
51655. 51655, remove name. Okay, good deal. 516.
I believe it was Supervisor Hewitt, Jean. Trustee Page.
Say it again.
I believe it was Supervisor Hewitt that was missing.
Signature.
For 51647. Okay. Okay. And then 51655, remove name. 51683 requires separate approval, which. Clerk Hollowitz, do you have your,
I do not have
Okay.
it with me, but would,
which,
say it one more time.
if 51683? I need to take better notes.
That's okay. We can check it here. in the
Okay.
audit.
All right, and then 51690, signature required. 51691, Gator Chef is good, we got that one. 51692 requires signatures under the right code.
Did that change?
Okay, I will look at you instead of,
I actually think the 8-3, was that the one that was payable to John Trowbridge?
Yes.
Okay, so
Oh.
there's one that's payable to you, so we should do a separate motion if they want to approve the check that gets your reimbursement.
Okay.
Sorry.
code 51697, change code. And then we had 3 that were not check numbers. They were auto and LRS would have been required a signature. We got that. Naperville Bank required a signature. And then Blue Cross Blue Shield required a signature. We are good with everything?
I'm doing that. I'm going to follow the direction. Make sure all the signatures
Okay,
are done.
excellent.
So thank you.
And that was concluded our list.
Okay, I checked in earlier and I heard that everything was fine earlier today, so I haven't heard otherwise. Or heard anything from anyone else. Any other discussion? And
So I would just suggest that we, have the two motion, to pay the one, to reimburse John Trowbridge, the assessor
And
Trowbridge.
it was 51683.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll make a motion to.
Sure.
Go ahead.
There's already a motion on the floor. So isn't there?
yes, there is,
To approve as presented, so are you making changes to the presentation to the bills as presented?
No.
wasn't there,
My only question is, in previous meetings, we were told that if it's a reimbursement to anyone on the board, that it should have a separate motion. That's what we were told. That's all. If that's not true, we don't have to do it.
Sure, that's fine. I mean, is that not included in the bills that were presented?
It is
The
in the
reimbursement,
bills.
okay, then there can be a motion to take that separately, to take a motion on that issue separately, and then to approve the remaining bills.
Okay.
As presented. I just wasn't sure what you were reading. I don't know.
Okay.
You were kind of speaking a different language to me over there.
These are my notes from when we
Okay.
did the audit a couple of days ago.
Okay. So just as long as there's no changes to the bills as presented, then the motion doesn't need to be amended,
Okay.
but you can make an amended motion to take. The motion would be to take the reimbursement separate, and call that, and then we can, so. If you want to amend your motion
I
to,
will amend my motion
and move to take the whatever reimbursement,
and move to take the reimbursement for check number 51683
as a
Sep-
separate vote.
as a separate vote.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
any
And
discussion?
thank you.
And a roll call vote?
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes,
And now you should move to take that item.
Now and so now we are accepting the entire audit now.
Now you're moving to accept just the reimbursement portion right now. as a
Make a
separate-
motion to accept 51683 reimbursement as a separate motion.
We already did that.
Okay.
So now we're gonna do that motion.
Okay, so I'm making a motion to accept check number 51683 reimbursement for Assessor Trowbridge.
I'll second.
Thank you.
any discussion? And a roll call vote?
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes,
Now I'm done.
Now you need to.
Well,
approve
there's
the
one more.
remaining- Yeah, so now you need to approve the remaining bills as presented.
I'll make a motion to accept the audit of expenditures. Is that right?
This is, we're doing, approving the township and road district bills and claims as presented, correct? Number 11?
Yeah.
We're on.
I made a motion already to enter that discussion. I guess this would be the motion to accept, correct?
So the first motion was just to take a portion of that separate, as a separate vote, and then now this is to take the remaining, everything else, to,
Because I'm not done talking yet.
sorry, to accept and
No,
approve
it's-
everything else.
I'll make a motion to approve the township and road district bills and claims.
I'll second.
Thank you.
any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, and all with interim township administrator Light giving us anything that needs to be signed directly after this meeting, so we know what still, I thought everything had been signed, but if there are still some things that need to be signed, if we could, wouldn't we be doing that right now? At the end of the meeting? Yeah, at the end of the meeting, we tend to, if it hasn't been done at this point, which is not usual. Okay, then discussion and possible action on a snow contract and township administrator. Like-
Last spring, and I apologize for my voice, it's low beat. Last spring, a contract expired with the vendor that did snow removal for our facilities on Ogden and this building. We realized this a couple weeks ago when the first snowfall was called for. Commissioner Young stepped in and offered to provide the lion's share of snow removal services for the parking lot areas out here. However, that is also, he has to manage snow removal for the township, so he's picking up that other duty here as well as his normal duties. We appreciate that work. Thank you, Commissioner Young. We also have to secure a contract to clear the walkways. Unfortunately, it's folks are already taxed. They can't do the walkways. So what's in front of you is a proposal. We've been calling around trying to get it real quick. This is from Bear Landscaping, who already provides landscaping services for this facility. It would be, in addition to the services they already provide, to just do snow removal. The snow removal will be triggered, I believe, by 1/2-inch snowfall. Automatically, they monitor that, they come out and do snow removal and ice management, which is essentially spreading salt on the walkways so that people can traverse the walkways safely. We have people coming into the building for the food pantry and for other services, not only here, but with our Ogden address. And we also have tenants at the Ogden address. And that's why, Commissioner Young, thank you for helping us with that. So that's a summary of what's in front of you tonight.
Any other discussion or motion?
I'll make a motion, but I just want to confirm, Mr. Light, is it the 32-10 for the season, which I suppose, okay,
There's two different.
right,
Assessor Trowbridge,
Thank you for the point of clarification. I believe that there are two contracts that are pending here. One is for the 7-Eleven, this property, and then there's a second one
Yep.
that is for 2121 Ogden. There's my recommendation to the board, whatever you do for 4711 is fine, but for 2121, due to the fact that we have a common drive with the adjoining property owner, the property owner has indicated a willingness to put a contract together like we did last year to work with everybody. So either we would want to expand this contract to include shoveling on 2117 as well as 2121, or we can work on something. To be honest with you, I was gonna see if the tenants would be interested for that kind of money to do it themselves. And offer that as a possible alternative rather than having us for the expense, they have to pass 40% back to them.
Trustee Robinson,
just so I'm tracking. And I do appreciate everything the Highway Commission has offered and has provided. Were you offering to do both this facility and 2121?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, the snow clearing,
Yes,
this property, this parking lot, and this
we've
property,
always done this.
this property, okay.
We've always done this.
And so this is, are you offering to also do 2121?
Yes.
Okay, but not potentially
don't-
2117.
No, they're 2117, but the contract for the shoveling doesn't include that. So we can't go. I don't want to get involved in this. We can't, because I can't guarantee.
I understand that completely. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Mr. Trowbridge, John, what you were talking about was only the sidewalks for 2117 as well. Okay. The parking lot effectively is taken care of. Okay. So that would increase the scope potentially of this. Okay.
Question, the rear tenant is their own
Trustee
separate entry into the back public property, or do they go through?
No, they have their own separate.
Okay. And this contract covers their entry also? 2121 Ogden, right?
Yes, I would, it's an open grade sidewalk
Right,
ramp, so most of the snow goes through them.
okay.
Trustee Robinson,
I'd like to get an agreement in place.
Yeah, me too.
Who knows what's gonna
Yeah,
happen?
it was a rude awakening.
Right, but if we need to add, we can amend to add 2117 at a future date, I believe.
We could also have, if the tenants want to shovel it themselves, we can eliminate it completely.
Do we have an expectation of when it should be completed by? So it's a snow day, staff is arriving. Clients are arriving.
You, trustee guys, I think that's a reasonable request if we build it in with the tenant or whomever. That there would be an expectation of when it would be cleared, so that is.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you.
That's a reasonable request.
Certainly, but it's not in the current language.
It doesn't say.
You're talking about for our contractor. Or for the agreement on the other building. I'm confused about the other building, right?
Yeah, let's just assume for our purposes, our two properties.
We will, the purpose of contracting affairs, we go to the one. And having a dedicated contract is, they come in when it hits a half inch.
But I would echo,
I agree, trustee guys.
get
Yes,
some wording in.
yes, we can put some wording.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreements, subject to revised wording where we get clarifications to when it's gonna be completed for both properties, 2121 Ogden at an annual rate of 3210, and for the property 4111 Indiana at the seasonal rate of 2800.
Well, second,
They're both seasonal rates.
Okay.
So we're clear. Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
yes,
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Motion passes. Next is discussion on possible action about the window bids. Interim Administrator Light, would you like to lead that discussion?
So. After my arrival, my predecessor, Administrator Rigo began the process of putting together a bid package to replace the windows in this building.
So why don't you come up closer to this speaker?
I'm sorry. I don't want to stand with my back to you guys.
It's okay.
So wherever is a good spot?
That's fine.
Is
Okay.
it sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Administrator Marino began the process of building out an RFP request for proposals to replace the windows on this building. Some of the windows are suffering from various forms of rot. Some have been caulked shut. So there was a general agreement that the windows needed to be replaced, and they were original, I believe, to the construction of this building, which may be as old as 40 years. We received 4 bids from contractors. We partnered with Renaissance Maintenance. I'm sorry about my voice again. Renaissance Maintenance is the company that helps us maintain this building. We contract with them to provide services and general maintenance. This is within their subject matter of expertise to help us examine the bids and determine which is the best bid for what we're looking to achieve. They looked at the bids. They had a recommendation. The recommendation is in the packet for a building. And I would say an MC building. And that is the lowest reputable bid. The lowest reputable bid, there was one bid lower. It was substantially lower. It was way outside of the other 4 bids. So I think this is the responsible bid. I agree with the recommendation, and my recommendation to the board would be to move forward, accept that bid, and allow the project to be moved forward. As an asterisk to this, there is a partial reimbursement for this possibly out there with DECO, DECO, one of the state boards, that's depending upon an appropriation. That could be as much as $60,000. The bid for the services we're asking for is $67,000. So actual cost to Lisle Township taxpayers could be right around $7,000 to $8,000 to replace all the windows. They are more energy efficient aesthetically. From the outside, they will look like, I think the correct term that they use in the business is storefront. They will be built on site, so the openings, they'll have be very tight, so they don't need to build up the openings. And that will help them be more energy efficient. So with that, I'll step back a little bit, see if there are any questions. Sorry.
Trustee Robinson?
No, I'll just add, we had a chance to meet with Renaissance this morning as well, and they confirmed they're calling what they call commercial style windows. Means something to folks in real estate.
Okay.
which will match what we have existing in the vestibule and in the food pantry. Again, they will be built on site, lower maintenance, a higher fit, just. This organization has been proposed, has done window work for the city of Lisle and also for Naperville Park District. They're, not in Lisle Town, they're close, they're Darien, was it Darien?
Yes.
So we felt comfortable with what was being recommended. I asked some questions.
A lot of government experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, working with government.
I
bodies,
apologize, I forgot to
It's all
mention
right,
that,
it's
yes,
fine.
they did do the same type of work, I think, for the Village of Lisle, the Park District, and I thought they had a couple libraries.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of work in the public space.
That grant that's available for reimbursement, is that the 60,000?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
So I appreciate all the work you've done and your predecessor as well. So Renaissance actually put the bid package together as well. So that they've been intimately involved in assessing our requirements, putting the bid package together, monitoring, evaluating the bids and coming back and just saying, based on everything we looked at, this is what we would recommend for you. So I'm comfortable making a motion to approve engagement with the recommended vendor, HMC Building. With this I would say for a cost not to exceed $75,000.
I'll second.
Isn't it 67,000 that it's being,
That's the amount of the windows. Yes, there's a contract amount. This would be.
so the
what did we
total,
discuss, like a 5%.
I think that what would be the contingency factor if costs should go up or anything change between now and the installation. So they wanted to build in a not to exceed number just in case, not that they're authorizing the spend, but it's there if the work should warrant it for any reason, is my understanding.
so it wouldn't be 65,000, it would be 67,
No, it would
Correct.
be enough not to exceed.
67.
I think-
75.
You said 75.
I said 75.
Oh, okay.
75,000.
Great. Sorry, I heard 65. Any other discussion?
Will they present a contract?
They
Yeah.
haven't presented the contract yet, just a bit. We're gonna have to work on that income tax.
So you comfortable with the process?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, ultimately, a contract, we'll have to vote on the contract,
I
so.
think we'll have to look at the contract and we'll begin to work with them, because we want to firm up dates. We're also going to, they don't like to appoint a project manager, so they contact a project manager.
So there would be likely two contracts coming in January, one from the windows and one from Renaissance Maintenance in January.
Yep.
Just so we're clear on the expectation. On the website in two different places, all the bids that were received are right here under bids and RFPs, and then under FOIAs. Under the main center page of FOIAs, all the bids are there too. So if anybody is curious as to where everything is, that's where everything can be found. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Sure, trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Trustee Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, great. Next is discussion and action of the engagement letter of the hourly rate with Janice Pappas to resolve the unfiled payroll tax return issue. It has been resolved. It was an hour and a half of work, which was better than what had been anticipated. There was a good conversation with the IRS with Janice Pappas. So that has moved on in an abundance of caution. We wanted to make sure that the board did approve that as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement. I had provided written email confirmation that I approved it last week, but prior to the start of her engagement, but I'll make a motion to approve it if this is a belt and suspenders discussion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Trustee Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, discussion and action concerning digitizing the paper records. And we, Clerk Polowitz, saw Jennifer today. And she's been in last month and this month, finishing up. She gave a scope of where everything was at, and how everything was going with it. Mr. Light, would you like to say anything further? Trustee Robinson?
Yeah, and I'll just, laud the efforts of trustee Geist, because when we first discussed, getting engaged with this organization for our records disposal and records audit, she quite rightly presented, let's do the audit first. Let's figure out what we need to digitize. Let's get that taken care of, and then let's come back and revisit if we want to digitize. So great recommendation. Thank you. I've been very impressed with the speed at which they have come in and engaged with us, and the assessment that they put in place. And I know they met, I guess they're following up with you now. And how many boxes are going, have they identified to be disposed of?
A lot.
That office was full and clerk's office was what, like a quarter full, yeah,
Mhm.
and then there were cabinets full.
I got to watch that young lady for just 2 minutes, and I did not believe. I don't, I couldn't focus on the page.
So, when we first started this discussion, we said, let's get rid of what we can get, let's do an assessment, because we've probably got 40 years of files here. Let's get rid of what we can get rid of within statutory limits. And that's happened. And then the next phase we talked about was, let's digitize so we can free up some more space. And we are gonna have to keep some records physically, obviously, but there will be a number that can be digitized, and dealt with in a different way. So, kudos to the strategy that was proposed by trustee Geist, for how we should approach this.
So is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the office paper records to be digitized.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Geist and trustee Page. Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Trustee
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, then next is discussion and action to approve the ordinance 2024-03 with the township levy. As we've gone over in the last meeting, it's a flat levy, meaning that there is no increase in the supervisor's levy. So it is the exact same number as last year, with the difference of that 50,000 being added to the community mental health fund. That is the only numerical difference. Any other discussion?
No, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-003, an ordinance levying taxes for all town general assistance and community health, mental health purposes for Lisle Township, DuPage County, Illinois, for the 2024 tax year, collectible in 2025.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? And a roll call vote?
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, next is discussion and action to approve an ordinance levying taxes for the Lisle Township Road District. Highway Commissioner Young, would you?
It's exactly the same as what I presented. I have good news for it, the fact that the tanks behind our building have been. They do initial testing of the soil around the tanks, with no contamination. We haven't gotten the final report, but the contractor has been so confident that there's not going to be any damage, that he poured concrete over it. So, yeah. I think he feels pretty confident that that, all that money, that $850 or $900,000 back to taxpayers. Innocent.
Trustee Robinson?
And remind me again, the replacement is above ground tanks, right?
Yeah, we took two 8,000 gallon low ground tanks, or fiberglass, single wall fiberglass tanks, and replacing them with 1,000 gallon of gasoline, 2,500 of diesel, both of them. Right now, if you drive by, you see temporary things. They're each 1,000.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance, approve the tax levy for the Lisle Road Township Road District for the 2024 tax year collectible in 2025 as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
And any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Motion passes. Then discussion and possible action on renewing the contract with Lauterbach and Ammon for 2025. They sent this email out, interim administrator, Light, would you like to start the discussion?
Track is a renewal of services. Provides professional services for the township in the area of financial, payroll, and ongoing financial reporting. They also assist with the audit, so this is a renewal contract that's been in front of you. There are some minor changes in the contract and some duties that they would be performing are slightly different than the services that they are currently offering. So there is a slight difference in cost. That's a summary of what you guys are looking at, but this may be a contract where there is a lot of discussion.
They've done a very good job of organizing certain issues that were out of place for many years. And I think they've really been valuable to the township on a lot of levels. Highway Commissioner Young.
I don't know where to start. They didn't certainly do what they said they were gonna do in the initial. They lied about how they were gonna do it. They misrepresented, I shouldn't say, they misrepresented about how they were gonna do it. They told us they were gonna take it back to their shop, put it in their software, bring it back to our shop, but they never did. They never attempted. Their staff on staff here, it's not longer gonna be here ever. Everything's gonna be removed. In a way, I'm glad, because he called me the worst person in the world. Pretty remarkable, huh? And yet he's still employed on Lauterbach and Ammon on this agreement. I'm shocked. And I don't think they met your needs. That report, Gary, I understand what you say, it's better, it's not better. That report, I think it's not any good. I don't think you have a choice. With issue one, I thought that somebody thought that said that the administrative position should be posted online. I haven't seen it posted. Perhaps you can bring something in space.
It is.
It is.
Mhm. I can show you. So if you go under documents and you go under open jobs hiring for, there's the administrative position posted.
Easy to find.
So under documents, you go to the home page and there's two different ways that you can find it. So all the main documents, jobs. So if you're looking for a job, there's two different ways to find it.
To start the discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from Lauterbach and Ammon as presented, $7,000 a month, which is a reduction from what we're currently paying.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee Robinson and trustee Page. Any other discussion? Trustee Robinson.
Well, I do want to discuss. So I know that there's been some, I know the highway commissioner has some concerns, as he expressed earlier. Part of what, the way the contract is written, or the proposal is written, the township has an option within a 60-day written notification to for either party to end the relationship. So I'll be honest, at this point, I want to get us through the end of this term. And then the next administration can figure out if they want to make a change or not. I think they've been helpful in the levy process. We're going to be going into budget discussions. This is not a time to make a change, I feel. And if we need to make improvements in reports, I would like to sit with them and hold them accountable for that. They did some custom reporting for me, and as well as the package they present. So within that context and within that scope, I'm comfortable that we sign this agreement. Again, the next administration can make a different decision if they choose to, with a 60-day change.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that. I would like to honor Highway Commissioner Young's frustration. I know what it's like to be attacked unnecessarily. And so I understand where you're coming from. I'm gonna have to echo Trustee Robinson that this is not the time we want to make a change, but I do think it's important that you did make your feelings known. And that I wanted to make sure that you know that I affirm them.
Okay. And raise your hands, trustee Page.
Echoing with that, I understand what you're saying. No, it just is not the time. We trustees, we don't have the bandwidth right now to oversee a new employee, right? I mean, we are literally working full-time trying to keep this place together until the end of our administration.
Clerk Barlowitz.
And then my concerns, and we had talked about a couple others, is that we're now having a reduction of $200. So we're paying $7,000 instead of $7,200. We're not having anybody on site, as you had mentioned. So that's 4 days of people, because they were only coming in once a week. So there's 4 days of them not being on site, nor will we have them at our meetings either by Zoom or in person. And we're only getting it reduced by $200. It seems like their presence is worth a whole lot more. I have noticed, some of the things that are questions, or is this bill paid, or why wasn't this bill paid, or a bill sticking around for a while, really is because we don't have someone on site. So to me, I think for not having someone on site at all, that's worth more than a $200 reduction.
And so they do come here to pick up the bills. It is about a half an hour on Mondays that somebody is on site. So it's not a complete lack of being on site. It's just not a full-time on site. But there is somebody that it does come
Pick
through
up the bills.
and does spend some time at least, and goes through a lot of different issues. And I found them to be extremely helpful.
Are they speaking to
Okay.
you, or are they speaking to, or will they be speaking to Administrator Light?
They speak to everybody.
Okay, so for a half an hour, they will be on site, is what you're saying, to pick up
Yes.
bills. So I still don't think that's worth just a $200 reduction. The other thing that I am concerned about is we still don't really have the transparency. I still go back to, the QuickBooks, or at least truly being able to see the history of it. And we've spoken about this to, nauseam, so I won't continue, but I think that is something that we want to work towards, is to have one system for the whole township. And I think we also want to work on the transparency, not that you have to go to this system, then you have to go to PDFs. I mean, we're working really hard at digitizing everything, yet we're making our financials really difficult for us even to go year by year. So I think that is something that we should be working towards.
And then trustee Geist.
I'll go ahead and echo what Clerk Polowitz mentioned, is that half hour on site is not the same as a full day, and the discount should be reflecting that time not being used. So I really hope that, I don't know, I don't know if we can approve it tonight as is. That's the first point. And the second point that Clerk Polowitz met, I guess I want to direct this question to Highway Commissioner Young. Did you not have the meeting with them and they did not satisfy what your request was?
At the conclusion of the meeting, they were going to go back and see whether they could download at least the road district, but their
Okay.
interest was that they would go back to see whether they could just download into QuickBooks just the road district's portion of the finances. And I've never heard that they completed that. All I heard is this is what they decided.
Okay, so it would be, if we could get a follow-up up on that, John Light, Township Admin.
You can't see, but he's nodding.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Different understanding at the end of that meeting of what that meeting was, so.
What was the difference?
No, my understanding was very clear that they were going to work with Highway Commissioner Young. I made that request, so I'm not sure why it would be your understanding, because I'm the one who made the request, that they work with Highway Commissioner Young to satisfy his request and needs to do his job. So my understanding was that was going to happen. So if it has not happened, then I'm asking Township Administrator John Light to please address it. Thank you.
And they did meet with Highway Commissioner Young.
I didn't ask for any additional. I just was saying, Township Administrator John Light, if you could please take care of it. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? And a roll call vote?
So I got trustee Robinson,
Yes.
trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Geist,
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, next is discussion and possible action on renewing the contract with Pace for paratransit local rideshare. And this is almost the exact same contract as we've been signing for several years in order to be a part of the Ride DuPage and have our own program as well. This allows people 24/7 access to Pace.
Have we did any analysis of how much a ride costs compared to the group meeting?
Yes, all that has been done with regards to the fuel costs and everything, well, cost per mile. And then how much the majority of our costs are,
Is that on the website? Is that part of the package?
it's been on the website and in the package for some time. So in the
This
last,
package this month?
so every month I give you how many rides are in both. And so if you look in the supervisor's report, every single month, there's how many rides are in each of the different units. And this package, this has been put on it was originally in a different place on the website, but I can put it in a different place that's even more
Did the
easy to find.
supervisor's report this one?
So if you see, I can show you exactly where it is in the supervisor's report. It's right in the report that has been presented.
Did it?
There were 194 rides in November.
What is the spreadsheet there? That's in-
No, it's about two, no.
I didn't link to the spreadsheet this time. I can link to the spreadsheet. Often I link to the spreadsheet, but I can do that. Put it that on the,
Never seen it discussed with the board meeting.
Okay. great. I generally have put a link to it and I took off the link.
Did you have a question?
Sure,
Sorry.
Clerk Pollak.
I don't have it in front of me. I don't know if I'm missing it in the packet. I know you said that it was 24-hour service.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I thought I saw in the contract, and again, I don't have it in front of me, but didn't it say like 6 AM to 6 PM? And I mean, so I mean, that's splitting hairs, but it's not a 24-hour program, is it?
6 AM, whether,
Or is,
page 6 AM, the contract, so 6 AM to 6 PM, Central Time, Saturday, Sunday, and holidays, 8 AM to 5 PM.
That's not splitting hair. That's a very different number.
Agree completely. I'm not, it says the service hours are 7 days a week. But the trip reservation, I think
Oh,
that
I'm
might be the
looking-
trip
Okay.
reservation numbers. Yeah,
Thank you.
so
So you
service
can't
hours,
get middle of it.
Right.
No,
24 hours a
right
day.
there.
So not 24, but just 7.
No,
No,
it's,
27 days a week,
24 hours a day plus
including
holidays.
it's just when there's a call center that's open to be
Right.
doing that, but there are drivers that are out 24 hours a day, 7
it.
days a week,
Okay.
as I said.
So for example, if someone has a doctor appointment at say 5:30 and they don't get out till 7:30, it'll be after hours to make the reservation, but it would still be within the time to be picked up, but then how would they be picked up?
So they wouldn't, here's how PACE works, is that you have to make a reservation one way and the other way 24 hours in advance. So say you were wishing to make that doctor's reservation, you would have an estimate of when you would need to be picked up. And you would have to do that 24 hours in advance. So you couldn't just say, call them at 7:30 and expect that they would be there. That's
Yeah,
not fair. So you
no,
would
I
have to-
understand that, but we all know doctor's appointments often last longer than we expect. So I was just asking for clarification. Thank you.
So you would have to build in a window and have that expectation that it would be about 2 hours. 24 hours prior to the doctor's appointment.
Is our senior transportation bus 24 hours before?
Yes.
I was just curious.
Yes, that's the requirement unless there is unless we can accommodate it, but we generally require it to be 2 days in advance.
So if I go to the ER today and then I have to have a follow-up appointment with a doctor tomorrow, or I go to start my car and it's dead and I have an appointment in an hour, I mean, how do we handle those situations?
That's where we have PACE that is 24 hours in advance. And so, I mean, we are only 5 days a week between 7:30 and 3:30 that our program runs. So we have a limited time span in which we can help people with the one primary driver that we do have. I mean, we do have a part-time driver that can substitute, but we don't have a whole lot of options with one single driver.
Well, because we only have one operating bus right now. So when the second bus is in operation, we'll be a little more flexible, especially with this harsher weather coming.
Yes, and we're looking to make sure that that bus gets utilized.
Thank
Any
you.
other discussion? Trustee Robinson,
Yeah, I'm following up on what trustee Geis said. Trustee Geis, that very good question. John, can you talk to Alicia? Because I think we do take calls less than 24 hours if we have availability. I believe so, but we should confirm that.
Yeah, I think that's the case, but I would have to.
Right. You know, we all, you all, and then as I joined the board, we all agreed it was an important service. We want to make sure it delivers good value and good responsiveness to our residents. And I think we try to accommodate, if they're not completely committed, that we try to take requests on the day to come in, but I would just like to confirm that. So that's definitely a goal to work towards. I agree with you completely.
we do, we just have been extremely busy lately to the point of often being booked even a few days in advance. So the ridership is going up, and but again, if it is at all possible, we do try to bend over backwards and figure out a way to help the people. We just had a situation this last week where we were working to meet the needs of a client that was in need with less than a 24-hour notice. So we just, this week, we're dealing with that very issue.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with PACE for paratransit local share ride due page 2025.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes, thank you. Discussion and action about repair or replacement of the lift in the front lobby and interim administrator. Light,
The lift in the lobby, which allows people with disabilities to access the services in this building through our main entrance, was broke through usage in October. We filed an insurance claim. Initially, we assumed the insurance company would go through the 3 quotes that we provided, the 3 separate companies that broke these lifts. And they would pay the vendor directly, we would pay our deductible. However, they informed us, because we're the policy holder, they will reimburse us for all costs minus $1,000 to replace the lift outside. So it's for removal and replacement of the lift as you come in the main entrance. So our assumption was that they would pay the vendor directly, we would pay them our deductible. However, that is not the case. We need to pay the vendor, they will reimburse us all the costs minus our deductible, generally is $1,000. That is because we are the policy holder, and that's who they must have. So, in the quotes we reviewed them, our recommendation was the same as theirs, Lifeway Mobility.
Trustee Page?
Did you say that we will be reimbursed? My understanding through your email is that we have been reimbursed. We have
We have
been,
been.
we have a
Received the
check.
I
Okay,
wasn't aware of that.
thank you.
Trustee Robinson?
And, I mean, this is very positive because we thought they might try to repair it and they've said that they can't repair it or for the same cost, they're just, replacement, right?
Essentially, the cost is de minimis between repair and replacement, simply to just replace.
And warranty, do you have any sense of what that would be?
On the equipment, I don't. I know the prior equipment was broke, it was operator, essentially error.
Oh, it's covered.
It was covered
Okay, cool,
by our insurance.
cool, wonderful.
So would somebody like to make a motion?
Is it Lifeway, sorry, John, Lifeway Mobility?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to, replace the lift in the front lobby, as per the proposal from Lifeway Mobility. With the understanding that subsequent, $1,000 deductible, the rest is covered by insurance. So I'll make that motion.
Second,
Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
yes,
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes.
so like,
Thank you, the motion passes. Discussion recommendation about, revising section 4.3 of the Lisle Township Employee Handbook holiday schedule that takes off the election day and adds on Christmas and, Juneteenth.
Yes, I want to make sure, trustee guys can hear me on this one. Trustee guys, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Cool. We sent this back to have me work on some language, how it affects part-time employees last time. I tried to simplify the language. We do have some part-time employees that are eligible for holiday pay, and I wanted to simplify that language. Specifically, one situation I was thinking of, I discussed with an employee this week, and the addition of a half-day Christmas Eve holiday. If that employee was scheduled to work that day, question was, how would it work? And how did I codify that in the language? What I essentially put into the language is, if you're a part-time employee and you're scheduled to work on a holiday, you get that holiday pay. Even if it's a part-time employee. For example, we have part-time employees that work a full day, but they're considered part-time because they don't work 40 hours a week. In one case, the employee I'm thinking of works 3 days a week, and she relies on that income. So if we were to put in a half-day holiday for her schedule and didn't give her that holiday pay, she would be shortchanged. So I think this language cleans this up and addresses it so that it doesn't give more, but it doesn't take away. The more would be the addition of the holiday to the part-time employees and to the full-time employees. So, that was the language proposed. I'm hoping it makes sense. I'm sorry for standing in front of anybody.
it makes perfect sense to me. I deeply appreciate all the work that you put into this. The staff deserves their time.
Thank you for the effort that you put into it as well and for making the language more clear.
Trustee Geist?
That's it.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to make a motion then to approve the revision to section 4.3 of the Lisle Township Employee Handbook Holiday Schedule.
I'll second.
Second.
Sorry, I was waiting for you.
That's okay.
Who wants to
Okay.
go down as the second?
Trustee
Gary.
Roberts. Okay, and then any other discussion and a roll call vote?
Well, we say any other discussion, right, and you go right into roll call vote before anyone can have any more discussion. The only discussion I would have is that I think that the employee handbook, because we do make revisions to it, should be a digital document. That way it's printed on demand versus printing copies that people have that has different information. Someone new comes on and maybe something's different than what's printed, and then that creates a little bit of chaos. So I just wanted to put that out there.
It's actually under documents and under policies and procedures.
I'm referring to the fact that the handbook has changed since other employees have joined. And so if they were referencing a printed document, they did not have the most recent information that had been approved by the board. So what I'm saying is maybe it remains a digital document and is print on demand.
Kind of like a living document.
Right, and that's what
Changes.
will happen when we get this codified and put into the document. So it will be updated and put on the website under policies and procedures, and of course, it would be print on demand as anything on a website is. Okay, then supervisors report. Or sorry, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Sure, trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, the food pantry distributed food to 865 families in November, and 2,297 people were served. The families included 756 children. Our community really stepped up for Thanksgiving and Christmas and holidays. Our donations have been robust and from quite a few sources. General assistance had a very well done holiday gift program that made a lot of families holidays. It was very successful. LIHEAP has continued to be extremely busy. $14,626 were granted in total assistance, with 9,120 in rental assistance. There were 194 rides in November, with obviously the day after Thanksgiving and Veterans Day and Thanksgiving were off. So there were 3 days out of normal that were off. So it was a little bit lower of a rider share this week, but it was, or this last month, but it was very busy on the day to day.
I have a question about that data that you just shared, though. Can I ask a question? When you give that report, would it be a problem for you to let us know? So just like how you mentioned the ridership was down, but it was busy. I'd like to know when you say we fed 865 families, that's up 10%, down 10%, because as we're looking at the increase or decrease, that'll really help with the next budget.
Okay, so how this works, trustee guys, is when you raise your hand, then I acknowledge that you're raising your hand and I call on you. I was still talking. And so that's.
But you were moving to a different area of your report. So I had my hand raised. I don't know if you see it. It's still up. I did have my hand raised, but I didn't think you could see it because you were reading your report.
So trustee guys, there's something called not interrupting. And so when I get to the end of my report, then you can ask any questions, and that's generally
Well,
how.
we actually all can read, so we could probably just read your report. I'd like to make a motion to just keep trustee Hewitt's report in the packet, and we can read it at our leisure.
So I'm not a trustee, I'm the supervisor. Thank you, trustee Geist. Okay, next we have.
I just made a motion.
So I'm in the middle of my report and you've interrupted it the entire time. So
Well,
I
if you had been a little more polite, I probably wouldn't have continued to. So I made a motion that you cease
of-
reading the report because we can read it.
You guys, you're out of order. I'm in the
Yes.
middle of my presentation.
know.
You interrupted it the entire time. So
I know.
moving on, we will go back to your motion to end, that you don't want to have verbal reports, which is interesting.
Well, because we can read and we don't need to read your report if you're not going to give us additional information or we can't ask questions about it. Thank you.
Okay. The grant update has been done. It's on the website as well. So when you look on the website under FOIA request, or you can look under documents, or no, I put it under documents on the home page, and you want to look for where grants are. There is only one current appropriation that we're working on. This is the past appropriations and what they have been for. I need to get one number for the Lisle Women's Club. I think it was 500, but I don't want to misspeak. But this is how much they were awarded for and the details. So I know that that had been asked for and that's been done. Next, we have the audit is coming along much faster than other years. Okay, now if there's any other questions or the motion you wish to call for, which is not on the agenda. Is that even possible?
I don't
Township
understand what
Attorney.
motion she's making.
So could you
You-
clarify the
the-
motion that you'd like to make?
I'm so sorry that I wasn't articulate or clear enough for you. The point was, your report is very clearly written and we can just read it. We don't have to take that time to read through the report that we're already reading through.
That's not a motion? Is there a motion? I thought there was the question was whether or not there was a motion.
I did make a motion, but you asked for clarity of what the motion was, what the question was.
Okay, so there's no motion on the floor, so we can move on.
Okay,
There was a motion. Are you the board's attorney? Are you representing the board or the supervisor?
Representing the board, there was a
Okay.
statement that wasn't a motion. If you want to make a motion, you can make a proper motion.
I made a motion when I interrupted her. I know that we all were part of that. So I made the motion. She asked me to wait and then she waited till the end and said, okay, and then you asked what the question was. So I just repeated it.
So can you make your motion?
I make a motion that the supervisor's report not be read out loud. It can be read by reviewing the packet.
okay, hearing no second, moving on. Is there we're reviewing the November 13th Lisle Township meeting minutes. Any revisions?
They have not changed since.
I'll make a motion to accept the 11/13/2024 Lisle Township meeting minutes.
Well, second,
Any discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
yes.
Trustee Geist?
Yes, sure.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Any old business? Any new business?
Going back to old business, your question of old business, I'd like to understand, back when we implemented the recycling program, I was one of the people, while I very much support recycling, who was very adamant about there being a very clear plan, a logistics plan in place before the recycling program started. There was no plan and the recycling program started. And now we're accepting oil and we have staff hauling equipment out to the garage. What does that look like when the grounds are icy? What is our liability if someone is injured? We're asking people to do things that are outside of their job scope because we did not have a plan. And then we also did not have a plan where we were going to have drivers taking items that we weren't keeping to other facilities. Like that wasn't all part of the plan. And when we have a recycling program and you want to create a contingency plan, it should have been part of the whole project and it should be communicated so that we know. I don't think we should find out from the community that we're recycling oil. That, we should also not be accepting recycling goods from our constituents that we are paying for in our recycling bins. So I would like to make sure that that is very clear and on the record, that if someone comes to our facility with a number of items to be recycled, you know, boxes, for example, that we are not taking on the expense of securing those items in our recycle bins because we pay for overage.
So there is a plan, and again, the oil has been being collected from day one, literally day one. We've
We
had.
never discussed oil from day one.
Yes,
That might be that might be a conversation you had with someone, but it wasn't with this board. Is there a board member who knew that we were accepting oil from day one?
so I can show and I can send to
No,
everybody.
I would like them to answer the question. Was anybody else aware of this? Because maybe I missed that meeting and I apologize if I did.
So I can send you all the original advertising, which has come out in paper. It's been on the website for over a year as to using cooking oil. And the other thing is that there's two places when it came to the cardboard that the cardboard could go to. The easiest place at that moment we had gotten a whole lot of cardboard was the trash bin, because the garbage or the recycling had just been emptied. The other option is in our
The person
garage.
should have taken their recycling back with them. That's the option.
So they had just emptied their dying mother's house, and they had been cleaning it out with a complete carload of boxes. And so we could have, again, taken more time and gone to the end of the facility, and it would have been a whole lot more labor, but our recycling had just been emptied. So when we have our recycling and our garbage done 3 times a week, and we had the space, that we utilized one option that took less labor, but there was 2 options for how that could be done. I will send you all the original things that we've been taking from August I'm pretty sure we started doing the recycling program in August of 2023. And you can all see the original documents of that.
Okay, I certainly appreciate that, but I think we need to be mindful that if you do that for one person, 5 other people could come along with a similar tragic, very sad story. And how do we handle that?
So we have an extra Gaylord in our garage where we can expand to utilizing any kind of overflow. We generally are now to 3 Gaylords of recycling that are generally filled by the end of 1 week.
So I'm just understanding that you're on the record stating that Lisle Township residents can bring their home recycling, cardboard, boxes, glass, to the township to be recycled in our recycle bins that we have a government contract to pay for. I'm just asking, is that what you're saying?
What I am saying is we do not generally take the things that fit into the blue bin, but and again, we are on record, we could have put it into the bin for the that comes once a week from eWorks. And so we could have done that. It would have been a lot more time to have gotten that done. And at the time, it was easier to put it into the bin, our bin, where it was free of space. Trustee Page.
What you told us about the recycling and what you're advertising for the recycling on the Facebook, or I'm sorry, on our website are 2 different things. Okay, I'm going along with what Trustee Guy said. Not one time do we hear a word about a toter of oil sitting out there. You've grown this program up to the point where it's impeding parking the buses. It's impeding staff getting back there to get anything from the back wall. You've created a mess back there, which is slowly being cleaned up. But as I've discussed with interim admin Light, staff is about to get back there and start cataloging and looking and cleaning up, but the biggest problem is that you've built this program up too rapidly. And now you're involving staff in having to deliver recycled materials off this property. When we were told everything would be picked up from this property. So that's a pretty big problem that we've got.
So the garage has been cleaned for some time. If you want to see the
No, I don't need to
video
see
of
your
the
pictures. I
garage,
know the
'cause
garage. A lot.
where it's
Nope,
been,
I've seen your
it's
video.
pretty darn clean. That's about how clean it is. That's cleaner than I've seen it in years. I was surprised that it had gotten to the point of being, more unwieldy. There is not any difficulty right now in getting a vehicle into the garage. It's quite clear. Any other, new business?
I have some.
Clerk Pollis.
Well, actually, going back to the recycling,
Yeah,
it's,
thanks.
it seems like the oil is a big bone of contention. Would it be right to just stop collecting the oil from people? Because it just seems like it's a big concern for everyone. So if you could do everything minus the oil, I also would, question, I understand that you put it in the recycling bin, but I also remember our bills were way over that, what we always had to pay an extra amount because we were throwing everything and overloading them to the point that we wanted locks on the recycling and locks on the garbage. So it's hard to see when we're putting things in there that I understand why you did it, but we probably shouldn't be doing that because of our past with it. So, so those two things with it. I still am with the recycling super concerned with the road commissioner, the road district and the trucks going back and forth. We really never have okay, so I won't do it. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is that I was going to ask the trustees, because I know I would like this, if they would want to direct the supervisor and the attorney that if there is any request or,
Wait,
what,
are you going into new business?
I guess that's.
We're in new business and trustee guys, we raise our hands.
We're-
That's kind of
No,
how we're
that's
doing this.
fine.
Because I didn't know we were done with old business. That's why I was asking, because I still wasn't done with the recycling, so.
I believe there was a call for old business and then new business, and then trustee Geis began talking about, perhaps she didn't hear you call for old business and began talking about recycling, so.
It was old and then new, but Clerk Politz was interrupted. Can we just not interrupt?
Attorney, what happened was she said old business, new business in one sentence, and that's why I paused her. She rolled right into it. She didn't even give a break for anyone to address old business. So if I could just finish my last thought on the recycling. I do not think it's fair to ask staff to be hauling things, recyclable goods, recycling, anything out to that garage in inclement weather. They are not hired for this. They may not be physically in a position to do this, and it creates a huge liability for the township. We need to come up with another plan. So I don't know what we need to do, but and I'm sure as our attorney, you understand that could be a safety issue. If you look outside when you leave this evening and you look where the garage is located from where the entrance is, walking on that angle in the parking lot on any ice, someone slips and falls, it's going to be a problem, especially if they're pushing a cart with a television on it. Thank you.
Okay, so we raise our hands when we're looking to be, when you're looking to address the crowd. Clerk Politz, were you done? You were
I
interrupted.
don't know. Are we in new business or old business?
We're in new business.
Okay, this is new business. And I was just going to request that any request, any questions, any correspondence that goes to the attorney gets responded to the entire board. So for instance, if I ask a question of the attorney, then everyone would get the response. So this way we don't have to duplicate questions maybe to the attorney, but everyone will be on the same page. And then this way, that would eliminate a lot of confusion and then a lot of questions from the rest of the board because we can all be on the same page. Does that make sense to everyone?
I'm gonna raise my hand so I can add to it. Hang on. There.
So what you do is you raise your hand and that really doesn't make. a
Okay,
whole
then
lot of
I'll
sense.
explain it again. So if you.
No, I just don't, I understand.
Oh, you
I
said you
can
didn't- it didn't make
comprehend it, But
sense.
it doesn't make sense from a actually how it's done
So
situation.
you ask a question, so the attorneys are attorneys for the board,
Mhm.
correct? Not for one person.
Of course.
So you're gonna ask a question about the recycling program, since we've been talking about that. It would be nice for that question then to get answered for the whole board. This is the question, this is the answer, so they don't have to, they just copy all the board, right? So we're all on the same page. And this way, we're following along all the way across. Or if you have a question about the levy, then we all know where this is going. And it would eliminate a lot of grief and a lot of the questions and the duplicate questions and answers and cost.
Okay, when it comes to the recycling program, Brandon from IPMGR Insurance company came and had a conversation with interim administrator Light and I. He was called by the highway commissioner. He suggested 3 things that we could do. Get different types of signage and make sure that we have it clearly labeled that you cannot go beyond this, the edge of where the food pantry parking and driving is. To make sure that children are not going one way and away from the parents.
You gotta apply to staff.
So it's again for the general public. Then because frankly, there are staff members that need to go to the garage every single day, multiple times a day, because there are vehicles in there. The other thing is that we could get our driveway painted with a variety of things like a crosswalk and making sure that people realize where they're not supposed to be going from into. He didn't say that there was any extra liability in having a cart with pieces of anything on it. There is a brake on that cart. So it's almost like walking with a walker, very similar to walking with a walker, because you can break where you're going, and it's actually a little bit safer than not having a walker.
Did
So-
there be any additional liability if somebody was hit by a truck coming over?
He also said that the other option for you and for the township is to make sure that trucks don't come this way. So you
Let's
have,
put those right there.
so you have 2 other entrances and exits, and all of the vehicles could be redirected to the exit and entrance on the far end of both of these lots. So that was one of the other main policy suggestions that he offered. But he of course wants to make sure that as much warning can be given to people that are going to and from. But if you're going into the grocery store, you're going to be, dealing with trucks going and unloading and loading food. So there's that aspect that when you're in a parking lot, vehicles are going to be moving back and forth. Okay, any other?
My hand's been raised for about 4 minutes. See, you don't see it. That's why I'm mentioning it. And Highway Commissioner Young spoke 3 times without raising his hand. So I want to go back to the new business that Clerk Polowitz brought up, because we kind of skirmed back over it, and we somehow went back to old business, which I got corrected for sticking with old business. That's neither here nor there. Since we're back on you went back to old business, Supervisor Hewitt. The suggestion that Clerk Polowitz had is that what we don't want any further is for there to be communications that the board is not included on, and no conversations where we're not learning the same information that you're learning, so that we're hearing the same language that you hear. So there's nothing to be misconstrued when it is repeated or conveyed to us in a meeting, that we're hearing the same source, the same information that you're hearing when those questions are raised. I would like to add that to that too, when we're in our meetings, when there are side conversations between you and the attorney, that can be somewhat problematic because the attorneys there are representing the entire board. And it feels like when that's happening, and I'm not saying it happened this evening, but when that is I didn't say it happened this evening, but it happens often. When that is happening, it's leaving us out of the loop of what we should be also learning. And again, the attorney is representing the entire board and not just the supervisor. This should not be a question of, there should be nothing inquisitive about this because it has happened pretty consistently. And so any communication, email, phone call that is responded to by our attorney, who is representing the entire board, the response should be in an email and the entire board should be included on it moving forward. That's what the ask is.
Okay, any
And
other?
any concern with that would make me concerned. So if you have any concern with honoring that, then that would make me concerned, because why wouldn't you want us to have that same information?
Any other new business?
Yes,
Trustee Page.
I don't know if you both have been made aware, but the township officials of DuPage holiday party is the 18th of December. All electeds, somebody who's familiar with the fact that we are not included, reached out and let me know this invitation has been issued to all of us.
Thank you.
18th, Klein Creek, where am I at? Klein Creek Golf Club, December 18th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for our entire elected board.
And,
Say again?
And spouse.
And spouses.
and all the elected people were given an email on Friday with that information.
After I had to ask you for it, anyway.
It was
That's it for
less
me.
than 24 hours
Yep.
after I got it.
Are we gonna
I
go
am not
further
the
into that?
secretary.
Because I know that you had requested the people who send it out to send it out to all of us instead of you forwarding it. So let's stop with this back and
Right.
forth and let's
Right.
move forward with the meeting.
Any other new business? And reports of elected officials? Anyone have a elected official reports? Clerk Polowitz?
I'll go back. Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't raise my hand yet, but yeah, I was going to actually thank you very much for putting the grant information on the spreadsheet on the website. I will take a look at it. It looks a lot more complete and a lot more lines than we've ever seen before, because I know we've been asking for this for over a year. So it's going to be really, really good to see that, and really to see that as a living document as we move forward. Thank you.
Highway Commissioner Young?
A couple things. I want to go back to the garage area in a minute, but first of all, we finished the leaf pickup 21st. Everything went well, except the number of leaves, the number of dumps, leaves was way down. It's kind of 15%.
Locusts, cicadas, don't you think? I think it's the cicadas.
That, I've never thought of that. You're probably right.
Yep.
Thank you. I was scratching my head and then looked at it. I told you about the tanks. The other, let's go back to the walkway over here. The insurance guy came out and he did suggest signs can write a complete report. But as highway commissioner, I know how well we pay attention to signs. Road, always we put it's an hour. So that's not good. But I'm thinking of putting a barrier. Just that. When I came into work, there was a car sitting in front of the garage. The third garage. What the hell are we doing now? And I watched and watched. And finally, the young lady pulls up and backs up to the food. So I walked up. And it was a car full of hands from, they got more hands than that. So big thank you to them. And we can imagine. But it concerns me that cars can get over with the trucks coming in now, and it's just gonna get worse with the sun. So I'm thinking very strongly about putting like barricades right across the thing to stop cars and trucks from going in. You can get your carts through. Maybe there, so I just want to let you know that's, I think we're
How would the buses get in?
the same way we get.
Okay.
Around there. I mean, they come down and get their gas in.
Okay, all right, so there's a way,
Oh, yeah.
I understand, so nowhere from this way up, but there's a way to go.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I haven't walked to the, or driven the property. I respect the park.
That's all.
Thank you. Assessor Trowbridge.
Yes, I just wanted a point of clarification, that check that was, struck in my name, it was, for Petty, it was $168 or something in that range. Just as a point of clarification, that was to refund or rebuild our petty cash fund at the office. We also did purchase some, toilet paper and paper towels and paper plates. Those purchases were not made by credit card, those were made by checks or cash. So there's no credit card transactions that are involved in that. And that petty cash was last refund or refilled or topped off, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago. So yeah, thank you.
No.
No,
Okay, is there a need for an executive session? Motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
all in favor,
Aye.
second.
It's a second thing.
and the meeting is adjourned.